I'm always fucking up the first one. All right, we have with Leo. So many mentees requested me to do something with you. You've been
Why?
one of the most requested person on the podcast.
Oh my god.
People love you.
Why? Oh my god. Yeah, I wish my father would have done the same. So,
Oh
but
my
yeah, I'll
God.
take it. I'll take all I can get. Yeah.
All right, we are with Leo
Yeah.
Avero. I guess everyone
Thank you.
knows who you are, but do you mind elaborating a bit about your backstory?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Leo. I'm working out of Indonesia, Jakarta right now. I used to be an illustrator, mainly working for tabletop games, and then I transitioned into more like keyframe concept art / illustration for the games and films. And I became an art director and at One Pixel Brush at one point, and then now I'm working on my own game.
That's pretty good. I guess the first question will be, okay, One Pixel Brush. How did you manage that?
Well, it's like it's a funny story because I think back then I listened to a podcast. I think it was Art Cafe or Learn Squared podcast. I can't remember, but it was with Shadi and Mache. And I think at one point Shadi said, like, if you need a job, just email me. Find it on my website, right? So I just did that. I saw it. Okay, okay. Shadi at onepixelbrush.com, right? So I think it was it 2015? I think I sent him an email, and like, of course the work was dog shit. Now looking back at it, but I sent it. Hey, Shadi, this is my work. I'm blah blah blah. As casual as can be, like your introductions, as long as you're not rude, right? And he never replied, right?
Yeah.
Never replied. And I was like, yeah, cool. Nothing. It's nothing to lose. It's just an email. So, and then I worked some more. And I didn't send too much because I was still in art school back then too. So I had other responsibilities to kind of take on. But I remember from 2015 upwards to I think 17, I kind of send maybe 1 or 2 emails per year to Shadi.
Okay.
And it was until I feel like, okay, now I have time because I'm finally graduated in 2018 and got a job, right? Somehow I got more time when I was working. I don't know why, but maybe because when I was in school, I have this feeling of, I'm safe and all of that, right? Even though I'm paying the stuff mostly by myself, but it feels like a playground. But when you're working, the stakes are higher, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm moving to another city, and my dad's no longer working, and he's retired, so I have to kind of send money home to. So it's like, I have to change stuff about this because back then I was making like and it's a pretty good salary in that city. I was making like $400 a month.
Okay.
And the minimum wage was, I think, 100, if you can believe that.
Okay, so that's extremely good for the.
Yeah, but I have a family back in the capital because when I was working, it was not the capital. In the capital, the minimum wage was like my wage, so it's like not enough. So I have to send money home, and I thought, this has to change. So then I remember, this One Pixel brushing. Maybe I should get into it more. So I started sending more often, this spamming, right? And it's not until my work, I think, got good enough that he replied to me. I think the reply was, hey, you send, it was basically, hey, I think you send me a lot of emails already, so I have to reply now, or otherwise I'll feel like an asshole, right? He was saying something like that. And he gave me some advice. I think you're 80% there, right? He gave me some advice, blah, 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 and you know the tools, you know the workflow, you know what to do, what to look for, but you're missing that 20% that makes this stuff like really shine, right? And I was like, because I was just like a random kid from what a bumfuck country from nowhere, and I was like too afraid to ask again, what the fuck do you mean, right? And thinking back now, I should have asked, but he did give me some pointers. Hey, go ask the guys. Like, he gave me some Florent name. He gave me, I think, Antoine. And he gave me Dinar's name too. So I reached out to everybody to ask for advice, right? and some gave me some pointers. I think Bernard gave me some pointers. Sergio gave me some pointers. So then when he replied that, it was, I think, and this is crazy, right? From 2018, and he replied in, I think, 2019-20. I think it's during COVID.
Okay.
Right. And when I got that email, I was like, yeah, this is my, what do you call that? The hook. This is my hook. Right. The fish is gonna eat now, so I better focus. So I quit my job.
Wow.
To just focus. Yeah, it's just. And thinking back, it was fucking stupid and crazy at the same time because I have all these responsibilities back home.
Yeah, you took a lot of.
I have to pay rent. And then I was like, yeah, fuck it, I quit, right? Because if I do this job and I try to pursue this, either I'm gonna die or I'm not gonna get it, right? So I quit it, and then with all this fire beneath my butt, you feel like you're burning. You cannot sleep. You cannot be chill. You have to kind of either make it or you just, I was so ready to just deliver food for a while, man. But I think in 2 months after because I have already saved some money to kind of survive for 3 months, and by the time it's 2 months in Chetty, I sent him an application, and I think right away he replied with a contract. I was so confused. Yeah, and yeah, here's the contract. You can start as soon as we have an image, and the day after I was just, wow, I'm working here now. And what's crazy is because I live like a cockroach, right? As many of us artists who are still beginning live like cockroaches. And it doesn't really, because suddenly now I have an income, like an American income in this country, right? And I didn't really register it in my head, right?
Yeah.
And that coupled with for the first 2 months, I think, I'm still having trouble figuring out the invoice for some reason. So I didn't send an invoice for the first 2 months. It's only for the third month I send an invoice. And I survived by, eating into my rainy day savings. And then when that 3 months of money came in, like, what the fuck? Like, it's a lot of money now.
Yeah, it was probably several years of income in Indonesia, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not even several years. It's like a half a down payment of the house. I'm not kidding. With that pay, I'm paying for this down payment for this house.
Holy
which
shit.
I'm blurring. Yeah, which I'm blurring because I just did a scan session. It's all messy and it's embarrassing. But yeah, it's so crazy, man. Right? And now my point of that story is like I feel like the change feels like this.
Yeah.
But looking back, it was like a lot of years of just building and working against the odds, like swimming downstream. I feel like, and that's at least a story I tell myself when I'm feeling bad, right? So it's like, hey, I'm like no, I'm like not a good artist and shit, man. And then I look back, yeah, but you did that, so that's something, right? And yeah, that's an advice for every artist too. Like, don't be too hard on yourself, but also don't slack.
Yeah.
Just be chill, like just do the work, and if as long as you did your best, then everything will fall in place. And if the result is not as you want yet, I think you have to start looking inside first rather than looking outside.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that. I think we get along very well.
I'm sorry, that's a lot of tangents, man.
No, that's totally fine. That's amazing. But yeah, I think we got along pretty well on the idea that whatever happened to you, it's your fault, it's your responsibility, and you have to look at yourself in a mirror a lot. And
I think you have to at least start from there, right?
Yeah. And I know it's ruffling a lot of feathers in the industry. Some people, they don't want to look at the mirror, but even though it hurts, that's the best thing that can happen to you generally. To have a big reality check like that. So yeah, and it's very interesting what you just say regarding the paycheck, because a lot of people from poor country, and I say that with zero disrespect, non-Western countries.
You can say that about this country. Like, it's a disciplined
It's for the
country.
audience. It's for the audience.
I give you the license.
I mean, you literally made a video like succeeding from a shit country. So
yeah, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm kidding.
But yeah, that's the opposite side of the coin. You might be away from the hotspot of the industry, but if you can access even what is considered a low salary in a Western country, you're going to breeze through life from your country generally.
Yeah.
So,
it's literally that.
yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, I guess it allows to sustain your whole family now.
Hmm.
That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, I have a grandpa who's really old, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of supporting him too now also.
Okay, that's
But
fantastic.
that's really cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Damn. So you've been working at OPB since 2019, 2020, you said?
2020, I think it
2020.
was.
So yeah, it's been more than 4 years.
Yeah.
We are talking about that at Kind of Art when we met for the first time in person.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was the first
yeah.
time.
You with a lot of your students, it was really cool.
Yeah, you and Piotr, you were the best encounter of the whole event. It was incredible.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we are joking about the applications that you receive at OPB.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people don't really get it about what you want, guys.
Hmm.
Would you mind elaborating a bit on, let's say, the common pitfall that you see and what you guys are looking for?
Okay.
Just to
Of
clarify
course,
that
I
dot
think.
once and for
Yeah.
all for everyone.
Hmm. I think in the end of the day, because Shadi is the one who's kind of pulling the trigger on
Of
who to
course.
hire.
Yeah.
I cannot read his mind, but if I'm able, and I'll give you what I think his perspective is and what mine is. But yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
I think from my point of view, what he's looking for is really a person who is what should you say, less than a. It's more about you being like a generalist in some ways, but really good at doing what OPB does, which is kind of doing frames that are high definition and all of that stuff, right? That's a given. But I think in the end of the day, if you can see some range in the work, and there's a really really amazing A Tanzana level compositional sense with shapes, then I think it'll get your foot through the door, from Shadi's point of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a really shape-minded person.
Yeah.
And even when we get a design task, he's always kind of critiquing about the shapes, and then the cool factor, and then kind of the subtle things, right?
Yeah.
What do I mean the subtle things? The way when we pose the character, because no matter how good your design is, if the presentation is shit, then it's not gonna translate, right? So
Yeah.
the critique is like, okay, the design is now fine. Let's not tweak that. Now the posing, like I think the shoulder can be lifted up slightly and all that. So what I'm trying to say is, like, you have to have that kind of attention, but also a big zoomed out type of view of everything, right? Meaning the shapes and all of that. But then at the same time, it needs to be realistic too. So if I simplify, like if you can do like a stylized shape, but with really realistic rendering and really thought out stuff in the shots, then you'll get your foot in the door. Like me, what do I mean thought out? Like, I think one of my first tasks was making this image that involves a lot of waterfalls, and I think I got like 10 feedback rounds just about the waterfalls, because the waterfalls is not telling the right story. Like, why is the waterfall like that? Why is the waterfall flowing from nowhere? The waterfall is supposed to be, going through the path of less resistance and all of that. So it has to be real particular and naturalistic like that. And yeah, if basically what I'm trying to say is, if you can be like Florent LeBron yourself, and you'll definitely
No pressure.
yeah, no pressure. You definitely get it through the door. But yeah, I mean, I think the best way is to just look at OPB's portfolio and compare it to the artist's portfolio. Like, meaning if you're looking at, let's say Piotr's work that OPB posts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then look at Piotr's work on his personal and compare it. Like, you'll start to see patterns on what Shadi thinks is cool and what is like, yeah, because and I think from my point of view, and I think that is cool, but it's always a plus if you can draw. I know that's funny to tell a concept artist nowadays, right? If you can draw, that's a bonus. But yeah, that's
I'm
that's
going
true.
to
And
take a bullet for the fact that knowing how to draw is mandatory, regardless of where you're
yeah,
working.
yeah. It's sad, right? It's so funny too. Like it's like, hey, you want to be an athlete? Okay, can you run? It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, being able to draw meaning it means that you know how to make stuff from scratch and
Yeah.
you are not used to hiding. Meaning, if you're painting, you can suggest a lot of stuff, right?
Mhm.
If you're drawing, there's no hiding. It's like a strict Asian dad. You know every step is accounted for, and that's why if you see like a person who's really good at making slick images, but they have drawings, they probably can design too
Yeah.
most of the times. So that's like a more foundational skill. So that's what I'm kind of always looking for, and I think a lot of people looking for it too. And
Definitely.
there's a second case too where there's a project specific needs. Like sometimes Shadi would look for example, we're working with kind of a client now that's really particular in style, and you never know what client needs. So we'll always find artists for that specialty. So there's always that wild card going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's funny what you say, knowing how to draw. I see exactly the same problem with the mentorship and those who apply. There's an overwhelming amount of people today who kind of skip the drawing phase to jump straight into 3D. And the problem is that, okay, they can make photorealistic renders, but as soon as it comes to anything quote unquote artistic, like designing something new, thinking in terms of shape, let alone thinking in terms of storytelling, already having a deep picture, there's nothing. There's just absolutely nothing. And when you draw, you cannot bullshit your way around it.
Yeah. Yeah, I call it the TikTokification of concept art. Meaning nowadays what people think is concept art is just a bunch of assets kit bashed together.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes it's that, but the people at the highest level who does not think like that. Like for example, like there's this artist Stefano Frederico who's we've been working with at OPB, and he's really goddamn good at making slick images in 3D. But the question is, why is not everybody like him, right? Why is not everybody a killer? Well, because he knows how to design and he understands what makes something good. So then it translates into 3D. Like I know this is like a really old conversation that we've been having, but somehow it eludes many people, and the point doesn't come through that you have to kind of be able to walk before you're able to run.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I think it goes back to what you were saying, like studying what OPB is doing, and that's why I, at least based off my experience with so many people wanting to join you guys that have been having into portfolio reviews, something like that, most of people don't get it right about what you are doing. They see what's on the surface, which is crazy detailed picture made in 3D and post-apocalyptic stuff covered in glass. That's what they think you are doing. They don't see the shape. Like when they look when they look at the Last of Us concept, it's a corridor game. You have to guide the player towards the direction, and all the plants, the shape, it's always arrows. There's always a path leading you somewhere. There's always a bit of contrast on the point of interest. And it's all about composition. And I think the shape is more obvious when Shadi is showing a few stylized picture. Like his Viking project, for example, it's very obvious. But the same rules of shape apply even to the most realistic stuff you are doing. And even when you look, for example, at Piotr, with his tutorial, I remember at Kind of Art, he was like, everyone got it wrong about my tutorial. I don't know what to do. And
he was saying like, everyone got it wrong and I messed up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all about shape. It's big shape, medium shape, small shape, and you subdivide the thing. It's not you make a big building, you make it even bigger, and you cover shit everywhere.
Yeah. That's why I call it TikTokification, because you see an image, you don't dig deep, and you see, okay, it's detailed, so you just make detailed.
Yeah.
Right. You're not kind of digging deeper, and that's the result.
It's really about taking the time. Like you see a picture, take an hour. Like guys, take really an hour on one picture, and you isolate every point, like the the composition. You create a layer, you draw the composition, the shapes, the lines of force, the perspective line. You draw another layer for the lighting. You draw another layer for the colors. You draw another layer for the texture. You draw another layer for this and that, and you try to break down and isolate every element one by one. Once you have done it, you do it on other picture. At some point, it's going to be faster and faster. And as soon as you see a picture in 30 seconds, you get it. It means you have understood the fundamentals behind. But yes, so many people today, I think 3D, you said it last time, it kind of blurred the requirement for the job. And because any dum-dum with 2 weeks on Blender and a quick sell account can make a photorealistic picture, everyone thinks they can do your stuff. And it's so weird because it's only the technical execution that is looked at, not a crazy amount of storytelling and all of that. And I think it has also to do with this kind of law of supply and demand. If anyone can do it, by definition, there's no value in it.
Yeah. Exactly. It's economics, and in the end, because it's called an industry for a reason. But I think not only with us, with a lot of kind of style, quote unquote, school of thoughts, I should say too. People see the only surface level. Like, for example, you see all those portfolios of drawings, technical drawings, right? It's all complicated, and then people who doesn't understand it, doesn't dig deeper, do it, and they do it like in the same kind of way that's not in the intended way, meaning they're just looking for, hey, I should make technical drawing to show everything. But that's not the point. The point is, again, the design. Is your design good? Technical drawings just to explain the design.
Yeah, it's just a tool.
Yeah. But what's your design, though? Like, what are you trying to say? And this is where we get into this sort of mumbo-jumbo, artsy-fartsy talk. But in the end of the day, like, you have to have something to say first, right? What are you trying to say? And it can come from the brief. It can come from yourself. It's a personal project, but you have to have the sentence first. And then how you say that sentence is 2D, 3D, photograph, like John Sweeney does with Last of Us, whatever. Like, choose your way of speaking, and and so many people is stuck in making the sentence good, like making the technical grammatical errors as minimal as possible. But they don't have anything to say. Yeah. That's the analogy here. It's like the ancient Greek times when people who want to sound eloquent, and they go to teachers, they call it sophists. Yeah. So they only teach them, rhetorical tricks and all
the politician speech.
Yeah, all those big words, so they sound smart, but they're not really learning philosophy. So we have a lot of kind of sophist kind of going on, and it's kind of hard to not go to that path, because it's not because you're not aware or anything, because everybody can get into that trap if we're not aware. So I think self-awareness is really important.
Yeah, and it also has to do with ArtStation itself and social media. The algorithm of ArtStation rewards so much like the flashy picture. It's just like Instagram. It's like the body shape or the way of life you see on Instagram when you create an account. It's not the norm. It's not what is recommended for most people. It's not what most people are experiencing. It's just what they like to consume. And it's the same for ArtStation.
Yeah, it's like 8% body fat. You're gonna die, buddy. The hell. Yeah, it's the same, I think. Yeah, it's like much like fitness Instagram.
Yeah,
it's like it's not showing the face of the industry. I think if anything, what it shows is like, if you want to be an influencer, like if you want to kind of build an audience that way, then maybe that's a path. But in terms of getting industry jobs, I think that's a mirage.
Yeah, totally. The amount of followers that you have on ArtStation, it's not correlated at all to the amount of jobs you can get.
Yeah.
Sure, getting some visibility on ArtStation, it can only help. But even the strategy of posting overall, you have some people who just found the number of likes and followers. Strangely, it's not those who have the most amount of jobs. Like, you're not there to build an audience. You are there to build a roster of pros wanting to work with you. And most of them, they are not spending all their day on ArtStation. Some of them are doing, but most of them, they are busy getting shit done, and you have to reach out to them one way or the other.
Yeah, exactly. You have to reach out, and it's okay to reach out too. It's like, it's not like you're insulting their ancestors and their lineage, right?
Yeah.
You're literally just asking, so there's no harm in it.
Yeah. And
So yeah, just reach out, man.
so many artists are terrified of the idea of reaching out to other pros or to studio, like cold emailing people and such. It's like, you're not disturbing them, you are not invading their personal space, you are invading their professional space, and everyone is paid to have one.
Yeah.
It's
And if they don't reply, then maybe they're busy, right?
Yeah.
That's the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah.
Unless they're an asshole, they reply like, "Hey, fuck you and your mother." Maybe that's not worth your time too. But
Yeah.
nobody's gonna do that, and just send him.
Yeah, and of course, there's a way of sending it. If a pro feels that you are trying to extract something from them before you give, you are less likely to get an answer. But if you are there to build a genuine relationship, you write a semi-long message where you introduce yourself. You know it's personalized. You know it's not copy-pasted to 50 people.
Yeah.
Maybe not everyone is going to answer, but at least one or two persons are going to answer to you and give you feedback. And if you get feedback, I think, exactly as you did with Shady, your main priority is to address the feedback and send an update.
Yeah. It like, because he's kind enough to give me some time and give me feedback. So the least I can do is listen to that and do it, right?
Yeah.
Because I imagine, like, many people, like for people like Shady, many people would want a bit of his time, and now that I get some, like, it feels like rude not to kind of do that.
Yeah.
And if you apply that same of respect to everybody, I think you're gonna get along great.
Yeah, that's what I've seen with a lot of students, is that as soon as they get feedback, we have that rule that, okay, you stop everything, you apply the feedback, and you send an update showing substantial results. And almost all the time, they build a relationship with the person. They get even more feedback because it creates like a positive loop. There's nothing that pleases more a mentor or someone giving feedback than seeing result from the person who received them. And you give them incentive to keep giving you more. And that's how you eventually can get recommended in a studio. Like, hey, do you know someone? Yeah, that kid, I've been talking with that kid for 2 years. He's so fucking good. He's teachable. He has leveled up like crazy. He understand what I want. So you understand what you want. Give it a shot.
Yeah. And even if you're not there yet, right? Let's say you're not. Let's say that for some reason you're not. It's like not up to the standards, right? It's still, you're still showing a will, like you're willing to collaborate, and you're willing to kind of improve based on feedback.
Yeah.
And that's a plus point on,
Definitely.
I know many people who would rather hire like a mid-level kind of artist rather than like the rock star ones, because the mid-levels are usually kind of more easier to work with, and because quality can be improved, but I think attitude is like kind of harder to kind of manage
the first
around.
one in the interviews to talk about that. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, everyone wants to be a rock star, but not everyone understands that there's also a big price to pay generally if your attitude becomes not as good.
Yeah. It's like your choice, right? If you want to go that path, then make sure you have kind of the way to support yourself. You want to have that kind of attitude. Like, many fine artists are like that, right? They don't compromise, that they don't do all of that stuff, so they find a way to make a living. But if you want to get work in the industry, I think one of the most important thing is showing that you're able to work with a team and you're able to kind of take feedback and criticism. And if you have kind of a little bit of ego too, you can always do like, hey, I did your feedback, but I also did one of my versions that I think is pretty cool, and then explain why, and kind of pitch to them, right?
Yeah, there's no problem with that.
Yeah, and that's no problem, and that even shows like your willingness to kind of have a initiative, like to contribute into the project, because you finish your work, but you also did an extra work on top, kind of, hey, this is what I think could be cool too. What do you think? And but on top of that, here's what you need. So that's always cool.
Definitely. And speaking of reaching out, again, we talked about that last time, and you even made a video about reaching out when you are not from a big country where there is a lot of stuff happening in the industry. You are saying like, you just have to go out there like 10 times.
Yeah. You have to. The effort is way more. Yeah, for sure. You cannot deny that, because geographical language and economy, whatever, geopolitics, it's all taking into account. So you have to be visible, man. Like, use social media. Like, I know that we've been saying that it's not important. But what we're trying to say is, don't look at how many engagement you get, but just try to be active.
Yeah.
Right. Like, the engagement, it's not important. As long as you're making yourself visible, I think it's a one step forward than many people, because I know really good artists locally who's like, you could have, if we want to speak monetarily, you could have earned so much more, and if you want to speak career, then you could have done so many cooler things, but they just are for some reason, like maybe that's their personality, just too shy to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even something it's beneath them, think it's like, yeah, I'm not into that social media game, man. Like, I was like, yeah, but if you wanna, like,
Yeah.
how else are they gonna see you? Like, you're literally separated by an ocean. So the internet is the only way. So that's one. And reach out politely, build relationships. Don't just shoot and ghost, right? Shoot and ghost is like you send an email and they reply and you don't reply. That's rude.
Yeah, that's
right?
the rudest thing to do.
I think that's rude. And build a relationship. Try to be helpful, right? Because if you're helpful, then people are more inclined to help you as well. It's I know it sounds transactional sometimes, but
it is in some way.
Yeah, it sounds so, but life is kind of transactional. But as long as you're like genuinely wanting to help, I think it's okay. And be helpful. Like, if people need some pointers, then give them, because people will pay it forward, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they will help other people now, and you're kind of building a cycle there.
Yeah, definitely.
And always do that, and be nice to people. Don't be an asshole. Don't be kind of pulling drama each time. That's always a red flag.
Yeah, that's
like have a group chat for your boys. So
yeah,
keep it contained,
yeah,
but
definitely
don't make drama.
It's crazy. We've seen a lot of dramas in the industry recently, and a lot of people engaging in that. Again, the fact that it's legitimate or not is out of the discussion. But so many recruiters today, I think, are really seeing like flashing red flags on a lot of artists' profile when they open their social media and they see, oh, that person has been engaging with every single drama regarding every single hot topic for the last 4 years. Guess what? They're going to do exactly the same with the same amount of violence and red flags, but with our name in their bio. Next candidate. We've seen so many studios lose hundreds of millions just for fucking tweets recently.
Yeah, they want to avoid that nowadays. Really, really avoid that. So so maybe you don't agree. If you don't agree, then I think the industry is that way. So I think it's better luck for you to kind of work in a different avenue. But this is the industry, like where it's called an industry for a reason.
Yeah, and I think so many artists are also missing the business point. As you say, it's an industry, and there's a lot of money involved, and all the basic rules of business just apply to the industry. It's like you're not getting hired because you are making amazing art. You are getting hired because your art is solving painful and urgent problem that certain studios have, and not every studio is having the same problem. And it's your job to identify which studio has which type of problem.
Yeah, I had a talk with Chatty, like short talk about that, and I think a year ago. And basically it's the same, right? I think Shadi was like, hey, if you're doing business, I think from my experience with running OPB, it's like your priority should be looking at what kind of a problem your client has and what kind of extra value they can give them. Like, what do you mean extra value? Okay, you need a design, but it can be faster, or it can be better, or it can be you'll have more options, right? That's a plus value that you can give, and the more value that you can provide, I think he said, like the bigger the chances your business is gonna kind of go well. And that's the same with concept art too, right?
Yeah,
with freelancing,
definitely.
Because maybe you're solving a problem in a way that's only you can do, or maybe you're giving more option, or maybe you're kind of easier to work with. So that's a plus value.
Yeah. I mean, for example, working in 3D, if you are not kit bashing 90% of your asset with licensed things, you can give the 3D scene and it's a nice block out for the 3D team.
Yeah, they retopo and all that
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah, but for that, of course, you need to design your own stuff. You cannot use like a kit bash asset that has been paid or something like that. And that's exactly the same approach we're having with the student. It's like I'm more drawing oriented, of course. I have nothing against 3D. Everyone uses a bit of 3D. But it's like, okay, let's try. The first thing we do, even before we start drawing, is just, okay, let's put ourselves in the shoes of anyone in the pipeline. The writers, the game designers, the 3D artists, the riggers, the tech artists, the animator, the VFX guys, those who are going to integrate that into the engine. What are their problematics? How are they dealing with all concept art? And what do they wish was done better to make their life easier?
Yeah,
let's build a portfolio around that.
Giving value, right?
Exactly. Because as a concept artist, we are so up high in the pipeline that let's say we make a picture in 5 days. Maybe there's going to be a team of 10 environment or character artists working on it for a month.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to ripple. We are dealing with exponentially more and more people. And it's just the 3D. It's not the rig. It's not the texture. So let's say you get paid 2K to make that picture. Maybe that picture is then going to drive 2,000K worth of budget to be made in the game across a month, across 10, 20 different people. Imagine if you can save just 1 or 2 days or just 10% of time to the rest of the team. You save them 20K. You can ask for double the price and they still make 18K worth of profit. That's how you increase your value. And the more you can solve problem to the rest of the pipeline, as you say, the more likely you are to get hired.
Yeah, exactly. Like solving people's problems, saving the money, making the money essentially.
Yeah.
And it's like it's the same thing too. I watched a video the other day. I forgot what's the channel. It was one of those autoplay things, but yeah, he was saying the same thing. If you want to kind of improve on your business, whatever it is, like start to look at what you do and think about, hey, if this happens, my life could have been easier. Something like that. Like start from there.
Yeah,
and when it comes to concept art, you got to see the whole pipeline thing. That's going to be so useful.
Yeah, there's a lot of empathy involved, and again, that's something we don't really see in that many aspiring artists. I think it's normal. You want to start, you think about yourself, you think about, hey, I need a job, I need to pay my rent, I need to make my parents proud, and stop worrying about the fact that I'm becoming an artist and not a dentist. So okay, but people can feel when you are just thinking about yourself in your picture, in your art, when you are like, hey, I just want the likes, I in the emails. There are so many ways to sense it. And again, if you start to prove that you just care about the studio and what they want, that's how you are likely to build a relationship too.
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about a lot of stuff already, dude. Wow.
Already? Whoa. How long is it? Like it's like fucking ADHD podcast over here.
It's just 38 minutes. It's so packed.
Holy shit.
It feels like 2 hours.
Yeah. But no, dude, I think a little bit more to add to that is that, I know that you become an artist because you want to fucking fuck off every day and draw in your underpants, right? I get it. Many people have that goal. And that's why I think compartmentalization is good. And for me, I'm to be quite honest, I am that type of artist. I just want to fuck off and make something. That's why I'm making a game right now, right? But the way I do it is like, I don't consider myself as an artist during my day job. I consider myself like a plumber. And then I'm only an artist night time and then weekends. Yeah. And that's working for me because I can have peace because if I'm still thinking of myself as an artist during daytime, I'm gonna behave like fucking Andy Warhol. Right? So that's not gonna work. So you gotta have a kind of some distance from it in a sense. Like I know that sounds crazy, but that will help you see the work and thus making you be better at the job. Yeah, because now you're starting to detach yourself from it and seeing it as a team effort. Because there's this tutorial by Brad Rigney that I always recommend everybody. Like, technically, he's really amazing. Like, I think back in 2018, he's using Photoshop 7.0.
Very good.
Yeah, it's insane, fucking insane. And he's making these really beautiful illustrations. But what's even better is, like, he's a 50-year-old man, right? He's 55, I think. And he gives this nuggets of wisdom. And I think at one point he said, like, this job is like a black hole. It will take as much as you give it. So you gotta have a cutoff, right? You have some sort of barrier. And then, whenever an art director is giving you a feedback that you think sucks or, making your life harder, know that it's also their job, and it's also their job to make sure you're not getting shit by the guys on top, right? So they're trying it. He said, I know it can be sometimes be adversarial, the feeling, but know that they're trying their best, right? And if you don't agree with something, you can always communicate, but to hold that kind of hatred inside is not good, right?
Yeah,
and then
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and then the other thing he said is, like, you gotta think also your job is not you. It's not about you. If you're making concept art, you're just this part of the whole pipeline.
Yeah.
Right? If you start making everything about you, then you'll eat up so much space that everybody is gonna suffocate. So you gotta be a team player. You gotta kind of think yourself as like a plumber, right? Just go there, do your job, make sure it doesn't leak, go home, let the family continue their work. Right? So it's like that. It's a healthy relationship, and it's more. I know I resonate with that because I feel like, yeah, it's like you serving like a bigger thing, and you're making everybody's life easier. Yeah. Maybe a 3D artist somewhere doesn't have to do overtime just because you decided to, hey, this fucking bolt is not perfect, I need to perfect it.
Yeah.
While it doesn't matter at all. And then another artist have to have a overtime, which is, totally your fault.
Yeah. I'm always like, whatever you give as a concept art, you need to make sure the 3D artist doesn't have to guess anything.
Yeah.
It has always been my mantra since I was in school, because that's what teachers were telling us. I think it's important because, let's say they have to model a character, you barely show the back view. How the fuck do you want them to guess? It's so bad. They're going to resent you even at the company if you send that. Of course, that's their job to interpret stuff. But now think about the opposite. If you give that to them, they don't have to guess. They can literally put Netflix on their second monitor while modeling your stuff, and they're going to thank you for the vacations.
Yeah, people are gonna love it, and it's not like it's an extra night or anything. I think making those views is not, as long as the design is figured out, it's not hard. So why not do that, right?
Yeah. And you are paid anyways to for your time, so why not utilizing it to do meaningful stuff? It's not about doing the bare minimal.
Exactly. Maybe this extra 2 hours you spent is gonna save 15 hours down the line. Yeah, that's going back to your point.
And you're not going to be paid directly for that, but you're going to get the recommendation from one person, then another, then another, then another, then the whole studio. Then eventually you are irreplaceable, and you either get a raise, or else if at some point you threaten them to leave because you get a better offer, they're going to give you an even bigger raise.
Yeah, now you can fuck around, right?
Yeah. That's how you become irreplaceable. If you are just content with doing the bare minimal, don't be surprised if at some point they get rid of you, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like the way the thing works.
Yeah. Damn, that was packed already. So you're talking about the you being a plumber at day, an artist at night. Last time we were talking about the dream goal, and you had a definition of that being very, I think it will surprise a lot of artists. It's like just finding a way to make money and doing your art on the side.
Yeah. I can explain that. Yeah. So it's from a quote by Hunter S. Thompson. If you, maybe many of you already know his work. He's this fucking drugged up, pilled up, insane journalist from the U.S. Really peculiar writing styles. They call it gonzo journalism. You should check his work. It's amazing. But yeah, he had a quote which really resonates with me and have been my kind of core motto for years now. It's like, instead of having goals, have a lifestyle that you want to have, right? What kind of lifestyle you want to have? Maybe you want to have a lifestyle that you can work out 8 hours a day, like fucking Joe Rogan or something. Or maybe you want to paint all day. Or maybe you want to kind of, like this noodle seller near my house, just opens whenever he wants. So it's really good, but you can never predict. But somehow he makes money. So find a lifestyle that you want to have, right? Is it a concept artist? Is it a businessman, right? Is it like a day trader, whatever? And find a way to support yourself in that lifestyle, right? So let's take an example. If you want to be a fine artist, okay, that's a lifestyle, right? You say fuck off to many people. You kind of make art for yourself only, self-expression. How do you support that? Well, Patreon is a way. Social media. You have to make YouTube videos, perhaps. So that's the way I'm doing things. Is like, hey, I want to. I'm happiest when I'm making new things and making project that is long, that is big. So yeah, I think that have to be my lifestyle. I gotta make projects. So how do I support myself by doing that? Okay, I can make a game, find a publisher, right? I can apply for local grants for creative industry to get some money. So that's how you support yourself in your lifestyle. Like, for example, maybe I know this CEO of a local advertising agency, one of the biggest ones. He's a CEO during the day, but he's a fine artist during nights and weekends. His lifestyle, so his CEO job is funding his artistic lifestyle.
It's amazing.
Yeah, right. So that's why I'm kind of, maybe goals are not that cool to me, because I think as long as you have this thing that you want to do, you really want to do, then you just do that and then have another basket in which you get your eggs from.
Definitely.
Right? That's always a choice.
Yeah.
So that's how I approach it. That's why I'm building a store downstairs. Yeah, so I just want to have this lifestyle and keep myself supporting it, man. It's like that's my goal.
Yeah, definitely. And those goals, in some way, they are just ways to achieve that lifestyle. Eventually, they are just stuff on the way that you have to solve to achieve that.
Yeah. Because for me, this might surprise everybody, every single person, but I've never had goals in my life. My only compass, my true north is I need to be better than yesterday, and I want to die not regretting not doing something. I want to be 80 years old and saying like, "Hey kid, I did these." I don't want to be a boring 80-year-old.
Yeah,
that's my only thing.
Yeah, I think it's a bit the same for me. I've been shocking a few of my mentors, telling them, "Hey, I cannot function with a goal. I do not function with a desire. It's just, it's just a lifestyle. I think lifestyle is a good word for that. It's just like walking with a bit of an ego, not in the sense that you want to be the top G and everyone to worship you, but you want to embody a certain identity."
Yeah, and you're realistic about it, right? If you want to do this, then you're aware with all the risks, and you're aware with what you have to do in order to support this.
Exactly.
Like there's this writer in Indonesia, like he basically wipes everybody in contests, and his writing is so fucking good. But being a writer in Indonesia, unless your story is turned into a movie, it means living broke, right?
Yeah.
So he made peace with that. He sells noodles while writing. So maybe that's not everybody's kind of measure of success, but if to him he's happy, then all right, that's your lifestyle. So that's the consequence. The consequence is it doesn't always mean that you have monetary success, right? So you gotta know, will you be happy if that happens? Right? If not, then maybe look for some other way. So that's always kind of the devil is in the details.
Yeah, definitely. And it has to do a lot, again, that's an artist problem right there. I think it's separating the passion from the job part, and it's so freaking hard for a lot of people, not only the aspiring artists, but as you say, if you start making everything about you, if you start taking everything that is decided at the studio personally, you're going to make yourself sick to your stomach and burn out in no time. Because so many decisions, they are going to go against what you would have taken, but people you have no control over. And it's not because the industry is bad, it's not because it's stupid, it's just because we are not omniscient. We cannot be right all the time, and sometimes the interest of a studio doesn't go in the same direction as what the employees want.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to kind of leave out some things that you cannot control.
Yeah, and it's the same way. I mean, we have seen that a lot. There's a lot of projects recently with great and talented people who flop miserably. And that's a prime example of making... Of course, it sucks to know for years that your game is doomed to fail. I think as a dev, you're the first one to know that. But and the reception from the public lashing out, not aware of the effort, it sucks. But at the same time, it's extremely important to be like, hey, I'm just, as you say, a tiny little dot on the map. I'm low-key insignificant in the pipeline. I don't have a full impact on it. All of that, it's none of my control. I just did my best.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very important.
And that's why, to kind of go off a tangent a bit, that's why I think... Oke, paket. Dah sana, kok lagi my brother is sending you a package. Dah, kok lagi telepon. I'm sorry, I forgot to lock the door.
Worries.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, that's why like making this game really taught me a lot of things. That is, you start to see that why some projects flop. It's most likely the leadership.
Yeah.
Like most of the time, the leadership. And that's why it's important for you as an artist, because maybe a lot of you are going to be a leader someday, right? Maybe a lot of you are going to be art directors, maybe open a studio, maybe like, I don't know, make a business.
We're already discussing that with certain mentees who are swimming in jobs and they are starting to outsource it to other people.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the leadership in the end of the day. And you have to make sure that you hire the correct people. That's always the kind of the tipping point. But after that, you have to kind of let go a little bit and let them do the job.
Yeah.
You have to instill trust, right? Because, like, for example, this game, like, I made the concepts, I wrote the whole 3 acts, with help from the writers, like, giving some ideas in. But the idea is, I can easily say that, right? And I can easily say that whenever people are doing this, I can, no, this has to be a certain way. Because we have a game designer and level designer now. I can easily just get in and, no. But, I mean, if you hired them, then let them do their job. Like, if that's the reason we have a weekly meeting, is to talk about that. But when it comes to working, don't disturb and don't make it all about yourself.
Yep.
And I watched this business channel, which is one of those autoplay things again. So I didn't remember the name, but he was saying, if you're hiring people to sweep your floor, then don't fucking sweep the floor before they start. Let them come sweep the floor, and you can do other things that can be more valuable to you.
Yeah. I think it's the hardest part of delegation, is that you need to accept that it's not going to be, quote unquote, as good as what you would have done. It's not going to be done in your style. But if it's at least like 70% your abilities, it's good. And generally you hire people that are better than you at that task, actually. So you need to really trust them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Like I have a really great 3D artist, and really great game designer, and really great programmer, so I can just fuck off and make concept art all day and write. Right. That's the thing too. So yeah, I don't know why we went there, but my point is, don't make it all about yourself. Like just let go of that ego a bit. And if it's legal, smoke some weed in your country.
That's a good advice for the kids, I guess.
Yeah.
So tell us about your game, the inception of it and how it has been, because that's a massive transition, going from concept art to building a full game and running almost a mini studio for the development of it now.
Yeah. So that's crazy, because it starts with a keyframes, a series of keyframes that I did for practice.
Mm-hmm.
It was this I think 4 frames that I did, and when I'm done with it, I was like, hey, it would be cool if it's like in 3D, because it was in 2D, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I start to, go all full throttle into 3D, learn all I can about, hey, can I do this image mostly done in 3D and not doing Photoshop?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to prove it to myself. And then I did those keyframes, like it was 20 frames now,
Mm-hmm.
all in 3D. And after that's done, I was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if it moves? Right?
Here
So
we go down
that's why
the
I did
rabbit
the short,
hole.
that's why I did the short film, right? Knowing zero about animation, I just sit there and learn. Like, okay, what do I need to make this move? Okay, this. Okay, we can move now. And from there, I was gonna make another short film, and I was like, would it be cool if I can play this thing? So I think I took
Add more and more and more.
yeah, and I think I took a game development course on how to use blueprints to make a prototype, and posted it online. And many people reached out wanting to help and want to work with me, and that's how
Damn.
the team forms, right?
Wow.
That's how the team formed, and so we've been doing that now. So it's really natural, but the desire is always it's not happenstance to me. To me, like everything I've done so far, I've done so far. I feel like I've been preparing this for this, like, sounds dramatic, but my whole life, because I took an animation course. I was into programming for a little bit during junior high, so I know the logics of it. And I've been doing 2D, 3D concept art, whatever, animation. I'm like, we're directing a cinematic for the game now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm doing the block out. I can show you, but yeah, I think all the skill sets that have been gathered, and maybe many people say, why are you so unfocused? I feel like it's really preparing me to kind of lead this project, because
You have to deal
now
with
I
so
can,
much stuff in parallel.
yeah, now I can communicate with an animator using their language. I can communicate with a programmer using their language,
Yeah.
right? And the story itself is actually for a short film that I wrote, that I've written. But I thought, yeah, it would be cool to do a horror from this. So that's the story. So we've been doing it now, and it's been fun. It's been really fun. It's one of the hardest things that I've ever done, but it's really rewarding.
Yeah. You were saying you worked on it for over a year now.
Yeah, for over a year. I think the first 3 months it was just me and my brother.
Mm-hmm.
And when we posted that kind of video online, many people started to reach out, and now we are, I think, 8 people strong, and we have some money from sources that we cannot yet mention or announce, but we got some money to build a prototype, and we are now starting to reach out to publishers. Hopefully, we hear back. So
Amazing. Do you have a trailer or something like that?
yeah, we have. I can send you.
Yeah, send me the link. I will add it. Nice.
Yeah, we have a Steam page also, and maybe wishlist the game. Help me. But yeah, it's an organic journey, and because my goal is, again, to have a lifestyle of creating something. Like, I watched an interview with James Gunn, right? This is really cool. He was in a podcast, and he was like being asked, if you are not a director, what would you do right now? I don't know. I just want to tell stories. Directing happens to be the medium I'm good at, right?
Yeah.
If I'm good at writing, maybe I'm writing novels now. If I'm good at painting, maybe I'm painting paintings now.
Yeah.
So his goal in life is to tell stories, and I feel the same way about creating stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely resonate with that. It was the same for me. It was just being in the world of ideas and the creative process, like the thinking process. And I was entertaining that fake ID, that being an art director would be like being the ID guy when I was still a concept artist. It's not. You're just in meetings and dealing with shit all day long and acting as a translator between 17 different teams. But now doing the mentorship, I can be that ID person. The mentees, they are doing that, and I'm fulfilling my goal this way too. And it's great. And yeah.
And I think what's funny about this conversation is maybe everybody can tell that we have really different ways of thinking about stuff and how to do stuff, but we agree on a core fundamental thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is cool. Which is cool because it means that it's a kind of a universal truth and everybody can get into it, right?
Yeah.
No matter how you do stuff.
Yeah, it's that universal truth, those fundamentals, call it however you want.
Mhm.
Again, it gets back to the fact that a lot of people want to skip it because it's not the funniest thing to learn. It's a steep learning curve.
It's not glamorous.
At the same time, nobody is special. Nobody is, unless you are one of those little prodigies that appear once in a generation, you cannot bullshit your way around it. There's no way.
Yeah.
It's the rite of passage, because if it was, that job or any other job was that easy, everyone will do it.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's really about going for the hard stuff, trying to stop chasing the quote unquote low hanging fruits of trends, and just trying to get back to. It feels almost like as if it was the golden age of concept art that happened in the past that has been lost. To me, it feels like more and more knowledge about what is concept art for real is lost.
Oh yeah. It's like we collectively lost that knowledge. For some reason.
I know due to technique it has been morphing a lot, but the things you are trying to solve now with 3D and all of that, it's still the same as when you were having like markers and gel pens.
Yeah, we're still designing fucking orcs.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall
it's
we
the same
talk?
Thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Shall we talk about your prediction of the future of the industry?
Damn, I'm gonna either sound like an oracle or sound really stupid in 5 years. But let's go.
Fine.
What do you think?
That's fine.
What are we gonna talk about?
I remember last time I wrote it, so I don't really know exactly in which context it was said, but you say doing cinematic shots seems irresponsible in the age of AI.
Okay, yeah, let me elaborate on that. So I was saying it's kind of irresponsible to. That's why I'm kind of pausing my classes right now, because I'm thinking, hey, again, it comes back to value, right? Because what kind of value that I can give these students that are gonna make sure that their skills are gonna be relevant in the next 10 or 5, if that's too ambitious. And why I'm saying it's irresponsible, it's part of me being juicy, but there's a truth in that meaning, because if you look at AI, like fuck around with Midjourney or whatever, you just enter fucking whatever cinematic screenshot, it's gonna spit out an image that's really good, right? What it doesn't have is, it doesn't have a sense of storytelling. It doesn't have a sense of control. Meaning, if you need a really crazy design that's never been done before, chances are it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And if you want to make AI do that, you might as well just make it your own, because the amount of time spent is gonna be the same.
Yeah.
So it's not an efficiency thing. So why is it irresponsible? Well, I think it's irresponsible to just teach about the techniques nowadays.
Yeah.
Like I think making cinematic slick images should be a given nowadays. Like it's like if you are a football player, you're trying to get into a club. Well, it's a given that you have a good stamina because you have to run around, right?
Yeah.
So that's no longer a question, and it's irresponsible to make that the gold standard. And I think that's why I even in my last class I was leaning towards, okay, what do you want to say? Let's tell a story. Let's make sure that the audience gets more out of this, and let's make sure we break the mold that's already been made and kind of view things from a different perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And I'm teaching more of that, and that's why I'm gonna do some more teaching, I think, in mid of this year, and it's gonna be all new. It's gonna be all the new. I think what's gonna be valuable to people, and it's no longer gonna be the same. That's the old one, because I think it's changing, man. It's changing, and I feel like we're leading people into the wrong path if we keep focusing on the old way of doing things.
Yeah.
And focusing on that and not kind of go beyond and see how it's changing, but do not forget about fundamentals, of course.
Yeah.
Because that's the second point.
Definitely. It really goes back to, again, the law of supply and demand. Technique, as you say, it's a given. It's not even, it's barely a requirement anymore.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I should explain again. So I just remember. So your approach is more like, hey, let's go back to the fundamentals value that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like my approach is, okay, hey, we have all of these. How we can do even more.
Yeah.
How we can do even more. So if we can do this, okay, that's a given. You should be able to do this.
Yeah.
Now that you are able to do this, what more that you can do?
Exactly.
So it's like jumping across the pond, almost.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like if we keep doing the same thing, it's irresponsible.
Yeah,
we have to do more.
I completely agree. And getting back to the fundamentals is just to make sure you are not a liability to the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they realize that you lied to them about your skills, or that you quote unquote cheated to make a picture, whatever that means, they will just see you as a slave of a certain tool, and nobody wants that. Mm-hmm. And again, you need to be so good at technique that it does not bother you, so you can free up mental space to think about the story, the design, the gameplay, the entertainment, solving problems. Because so many people, when they start a design, they barely brainstorm. They are not solid on the fundamentals, and they deal with technique, rendering, lighting, composition, story, every fucking thing at the same time, and they burn out.
That's why sketching is so powerful, because you remove all of that, right?
You solve the idea first, and it streamlines the whole process. Once you have the idea, you do the composition, then you lay out the fundamentals like perspective, anatomy, then you inject the color, and one step at a time, so you can focus 100% of your energy on it. This is so important. You're going to be faster, you're going to be less exhausted, you're going to do better at every step. And the only way you can do that is by removing the technical friction.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Exactly.
And it's funny because almost 10 years ago when I got hired at Ubisoft for my first job, I got away with terrible design skills. I got hired just because of the technique. Because at the time, using 3D was almost never used. The first Last of Us just came out, and we didn't have any tutorials about the technique from Mache and John Sweeney and all the first Last of Us crew. So it was extremely hard to do, and I got hired for that because I was able to do it. But my design skills sucked, like really, really sucked. And today it's the opposite. Like that technique, that portfolio at the time, you will never get hired. You would barely get even hired in a school, at least a good art school with that, because nobody gives a shit anymore. It's not impressive, and it's not impressing anyone that you can press render and use K-cycle and an HDRI. Everyone uses that.
Yeah, everybody and their grandmother does that. So, yeah. So you either have to kind of do more with the fundamentals or do more in terms of what you give.
Yeah.
So that's you cannot be like the midway anymore. So
definitely, and it's very interesting what you said with AI, because it goes with what Fang Zhu was saying regarding what AI can and cannot do, and it's really missing on the human experience and the empathy in some way. And that's what has always been making great stories, great movies, great games. It's not that much the graphics, it's not that much the technique, it's always can you create an emotion out of that?
Yeah, it's like Undertale, like fucking pixel art, but it's like a huge fan base. There's a reason. It's resonating with everybody.
You look at so many games that have been like getting people to cry. I'm thinking about Ori and the Blind Forest. I'm thinking about Journey. Journey is still crazy. It's so abstract. You see whatever the fuck you want. If you dive more into realistic stuff and AAA, you have Baldur's Gate and everything from software. People resonate with that on a deep level. And
man,
I'm not expecting AI to be able to write that anytime soon. I'm not expecting those devs to be interested in AI either, because they are talking about them through those stories. So it's kind of funny because the way to, at least for now, future-proof your work against AI, it's just by doing what it's not able to do. And strangely enough, it's also what is the most valuable thing in the job.
Exactly. Like,
so to me, I understand the worries about AI. I'm not dismissing them. And we can all agree that sampling artists' work without their consent is bad. There's no question about that. But in some way, if you if you want to get a job in the industry, you have by default to do what AI is unable to do. So you remove AI from the equation, at least on the final product. So yeah, the doom and gloom thing, I don't really know. And if one day AI is able to understand the human element, I think we will have way bigger problems in the world than AI stealing our pictures.
Yeah, way bigger.
Yeah.
And it's like the priorities have to be straight, and that's why I'm kind of keep telling people, hey, either you're for it or against it. Look into the technology.
Yeah.
Why? Because you will then know where the limits are, and you can know where to insert yourself.
Exactly.
Right? Because it's like I think the response is natural, and it's understandable when people are angry and despair and everything. But at some point, I think we have to kind of let's look at what we're against here, what we're up against, and look how we can work around it. And that's always I think what will drive. If you have anxieties about this, trust me, your anxiety will go down once you know the thing. Yeah, because anxiety comes from not knowing what the problem is. But if you know there's a tiger in front of you and it's gonna pounce into you, at least you know for certain that he's gonna pounce into you. You won't live in suspense whether or not he's gonna pounce into you.
Yeah, it gets back to that quote from H.P. Lovecraft that fear is the most powerful emotion. Fear of the unknown is even stronger.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
and other thing is, I think in the age of all these generative models, and I think even from back years ago, it's a really good time to be interdisciplinary.
Yeah.
Right? Especially if you kind of want to be somebody who is kind of doing something more than what you're doing, right? Maybe you want to tell bigger stories and all that stuff. Because if you let's look at the parallel. If you look at the scientific field, right? A lot of the scientific problems that we have now cannot be solved by one discipline. It's usually a team of interdisciplinary scientists solving one problem.
Yeah.
So what does that say about our profession? Well, I think it's the same. If you wanna be like the next Alberto Mielgo or James Gunn, well then don't just do what you do. Consume other things. Learn other things.
Definitely.
Right? James Gunn can direct, but he's also a really good writer. Right? Like, be interdisciplinary if you want to go that path.
Yeah, we were talking about that with Andy Walsh, in a previous recording, and it's also getting back to the business aspect. I think also for everyone being a bit afraid, or even regarding the waves of layoffs and the shrinking of the industry we have experienced in the last years, being interdisciplinary is very important, because there are other streams of revenues that are available than just working for a client. You can create assets.
There's that too.
You can create education.
Too, right?
You can, again, ask yourself, what does the artistic world need? How can I solve that problem for them? You can help a lot. Of course, if you make another random keyframe tutorial number 76 about the same subject, it's not going to solve anything. But if you have something niche, if you identify a problem that nobody talks about, that's why you can make a lot of bucks with that and help a lot of people with that.
Yeah, you're going to give a lot of contributions.
Yeah.
At the same time, which is always great.
Yeah. And regarding the cinematic shot, we already see in the movie industry that AI is being used a bit. You look at have you seen the movie posters for the Fantastic Four?
Oh, the one with the thumbs, is it?
Yeah, I think so. There's a big shitstorm surrounding that, because it's apparently it's kind of obvious that they used AI. They refuse to address that.
Okay.
It's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like those movie posters. Yeah, they're probably going to pay the price for it, because I don't know if it's going to sell well. So I think companies are going to realize. I think a lot of companies who already try using AI realize that for now, it's clearly not mature enough, and it creates more problems than solution.
Yeah. if anything, what it's good at, and I think at this point it's no longer a secret that many briefs for many projects already use AI.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so the question is, why are they still hiring concept artists if they can generate themselves? That means that, okay, AI can, instead of using Google, now they can type exactly what they need and tell the artist, hey, I like this vibe, but it's not quite right, do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's like it's gonna be in only the research phase for a while with AI. It's same with AI video, right?
Yeah.
I think if you've seen the latest AI video technology, it's impressive.
With Sora, yeah, it's very impressive.
No, like even the Chinese one, the Kling, right?
Really? Okay.
And yeah. And I've been fucking around with it internally, only for me, and it's like, yeah, it's cool, but I cannot see this being turned into a feature film. It's only good for storyboarding.
Yeah.
And even for storyboarding, you cannot go into much granular details because it can only do certain things, but it does it really well.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's not. I think it's gonna streamline the process, but it's not gonna disrupt it so much that I think some jobs are gonna lose. I think it's gonna change. It's not gonna last.
Yeah. And again, if you are a young concept artist and you're afraid about AI, or maybe your boss is talking to you about, hey, maybe you can use AI for research. Again, if it's for research, it's just a communication tool. And I'm not trying to excuse AI, don't get me wrong, but it's a way to brainstorm. I remember Shadi, when he did a presentation at IAMAG last year, it was like, sometimes we just try to pitch AI, we see if there is an idea, and we regain control over it after.
Yeah.
So
I think he's gonna do another talk this way, right?
I think so.
Yeah. It's like I think it's not beyond that nowadays. So I won't be too afraid of it, and I think the future is still bright for many of us who want to work.
Yeah, and for everyone working in a small company and you have a boss who is like, hey, we should use AI for concept art, just tell them, okay, it's going to save potential time on the concept art, but the 3D artists are going to waste a fuck ton of time trying to interpret that.
I fucking hate this, but let me tell you, so our game, right? We're using Rococo, right? Like mocap sets. We just ordered another one, so we have 2 now. And the guy was a guy was saying, why don't you use AI? It's like AI mocap is so good nowadays, and it's like, yeah, it's really shows that you know nothing about what we're doing. Like, how the fuck are you gonna do the face? We're using the face AI thing, and not like the face Unreal thing. How the fuck are you gonna do that? What about the fingers? What about the granular expressions? And what about if we don't have space? Because it needs a camera. Like, what the fuck? Like, so you know nothing. So it's like all this replacement talk is from tech bros. It's from people who doesn't understand the profession.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I remember I was working for a startup back in 2022, 2023. It started as an RPG project, and then it followed all the red flags, like wanting to do crypto gaming, then AI shit. And we were like, okay, we know we're going to get the project canceled at some point. Let's just try to do the bare minimum while we are searching for options.
Yeah.
And really, the guys who are pushing the crypto gaming, pushing AI, they didn't know shit about the pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, a part of the AI doom talk. Yeah. A part of the doom and gloom AI talk is to bump their stocks up.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever in the startup game, it's always like that. It's always telling to people, hey, we're gonna replace all of these people. You're gonna save $100 million. That's not true. Yeah. Like a lot of startup game is kind of make believe.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's like when they say stuff, it's marketing.
Yeah.
So maybe some of it is true, but don't let it ruin your mood, like ruin your head. Like just do what you do better tomorrow.
Yeah. And speaking about that, I think we can finish on everything that is happening online right now in the artistic sphere, I guess. You just say, like, if it makes you mad, you need to understand its marketing. I think we are seeing more and more of an echo chamber on social media. I'm not putting every artist in that basket, don't get me wrong, but people have been very, very vocal about the concerns.
Yeah.
And the problem that I see is that we rarely have actionable advice. And there are still so much more than people can do that is in their control that AI or layoff cannot take away from them. And personally, I wish more people were talking about that. Because spreading negativity, it's just, okay, you're just spreading a poison right now. It brings nothing to the table. It's going to get people to be mad. If you're a big artist and younger artists are looking up to you, they might feel extremely bad because they take your word for the word of God. And they might quit art or entertain bad thought or things like that, or feel extremely bad just because of a punchline or some rant done by a big artist. So I think it's up to everyone's responsibility to be extremely careful with that. And what do you think about that, man?
Well, my thoughts is like, if a house is burning, right? You have 5 people inside. 1 people is screaming, "Hey, the fucking house is burning!" All right, everybody wakes up.
Yeah.
Try to extinguish the fire. But if this person, while we're extinguishing the fire, keeps shouting, "House is burning! Hey, shut the fuck up, man! We already know.
Yeah.
Why don't you help? Do something." It's like that, right?
Yeah.
It's cool the first time, man. Yeah, sound the alarm. Why not? But when it just again and again and again, yeah, we know it's bad. Like, we know the industry is laying off a lot of people. We know. Like, what can we do as a collective about it? Like, how can we help each other? Right? Because I think that's going to be more productive rather than just kind of, each time posting about how this is doomed. Yeah, maybe if you think that's doomed, how about if you don't have anything productive to say, you kind of don't post it? Or if you have any idea on how people might deal with this, then post it. Maybe contribute into the conversation in a way that, if you really think it's doomed, give people a way out. And if you don't really think it's doomed, give a good argument about it.
Yeah. It's been weird. It's been very weird because personally, I'm on the optimist side. Okay, it's undeniable that it has been a massive collapse and it's probably unprecedented in the last 10 to 20 years. Maybe the crash of 1986 was similar to that, but there were not as many people in the industry at the time. But just because we have bad things, it doesn't mean that it's all fucked. It doesn't mean that there's nothing you can do. And honestly, especially on LinkedIn, every time I see someone being very angry and saying that the industry is fucked, I'm always having this kind of slightly morbid game. I'm just like, okay, let's have a look at your portfolio. Oh, okay, it probably explains why you don't have a job. And it sounds extremely cruel this way, and this is not disrespectful, but at the same time, as we are saying at the very beginning, it's important that people are being held a mirror in front of them. And it's very easy to paint something outside of your control as a scapegoat for why you are not succeeding. And I think a lot of people blaming AI or blaming corporate greed or whatever they want to blame to justify not getting hired, they probably won't have gotten hired in 2021 when things were doing great either.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, to me, it has to be on a case-by-case basis, because
of course, yeah.
I see, like, if you for example see, like, what can we take an example? Maybe, I don't know, maybe Ubisoft is getting into crypto, right? 2 years ago, and they think, yeah, crypto has a future here. So they hire 200 people to work on their crypto game, and then 2 years later, crypto is going down the hill. But they still have this game to finish, so to cut the losses, they lay off all those people. I think that can be categorized as corporate greed, right? Of course, that can be categorized as it. But if the industry is going kind of on the upturn, then it won't hurt to kind of look at your portfolio and kind of just, hey, okay, everybody's getting jobs, I'm not. It can be a corporate greed, it can be whatever it be, or let's look at me too, right? What can I do better? And if you've already done everything you can, you feel like it, ask other people. Hey, do you think I'm optimal in these steps? If not, tell me how. So that's how you improve. It's not by kind of And I don't want you to hate yourself either, if to feel like, yeah, I'm not enough. I'm
Of
not. Yeah,
course.
I want you. I want you to be a realist. Okay, I'm not enough, which is fine. I can always improve. Like
Definitely.
what I like is like if you feel like you're kind of not on the level that you want, the only way is up. So that's a good news, right? So it's like reframing it, and be kind to yourself, but also do the work. Like it's always like what David Lynch says. You gotta have grace for yourself. If you have a good idea, catch that idea, but when you have it, make sure you work your to a point where that's done. Doesn't mean you have to be cruel to yourself and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's also always a multi-factor game. And for example, my brother, he's in the tech industry, right? And he was researching on the company on this AI stuff. Again, AI that can help them give the customer a better experience, right? So it's not a real product; it's a R&D, and he's contributing a lot on it. He's leading a team, and he works till morning. And I know he's a good coder. I can vouch for that. But he got laid off. And the reason was, the reason it's given was not performance per se, but because his rates are too high and they need to make a cut. Otherwise, they won't hit their 3% growth this year, while they already have 2.5% growth. So to get that extra 0.5%, they are willing to lay off people other than just taking the loss, and not even loss, like taking the profit they already have and keep it. So that is, to me, corporate greed.
I completely agree.
You can always have a choice between like Nintendo. The way they do stuff is like, if they're not profitable this year, hey, the CEO takes a cut. Because why? Because this is my responsibility as CEO. I make the wrong choice.
Completely agree. And it's weird because you could have the reverse side of the coin being, if that guy, that coder is so great and making a profit, maybe it should give us an incentive to hire more like him to make more profit. You can reach the 3%.
Yeah, that's why I think I don't think that company is gonna go for long, because if the mindset is like that, because they're literally laying off institutional knowledge.
Yeah,
they're laying off people who knows who holds their keys, which is fucking dumb. It's the same thing happened with BioWare. I think recently is that they laid off a bunch of senior people.
Yeah, most of the Dragon Age team overall.
Yeah, and they lost all that knowledge. So how the fuck are you gaining it back now? So yeah, man, it's sometimes it's frustrating, but I think those things you cannot control, just don't worry about it. Do your best, I think.
Yeah, not in your control, not your problem. That should be the first rule. And it's not to be insensitive, it's just to avoid the mental noise and making yourself sick to your stomach for something you cannot do anything about. It's just that every time every time someone starts to think a bit too collectively, and it's good to think collectively, don't get me wrong, but at some point, if you start to hope that the collective is going to do something at unison in the direction you want to try to save you, spoiler alert, it's not going to happen. And it strips you away from your agency that you can do right now.
I vibe with that, because I think growing up, it's always that since childhood, I figured out that, no offense to my father, right? But maybe a lot of children think that their parents know everything. I know from a really early age that my dad doesn't know shit, right? And it's like, I realize, oh shit, it's up to me, man. Like, so that's why I'm advocating for, hey, you corporate greed, everything aside, in the end of the day, you're gonna die alone, and you get, no matter the situation you find yourselves in, you gotta take that into your own palm, and which is why I really respect people who are, single mothers, single parents, working their asses off for their children. Many people look down on them, but no, they're working their ass off for their kids. It's like they're taking they're taking destiny in their own hands, and I can respect that. What I cannot respect is that when you have all the privilege in the world, you're a first world country, you have access to the industry, and you just fuck around on social media all day doing and complaining about it. Yeah, it's good. Complain, but do the work.
Yeah.
You can do both, and it's like I think there has to be a great deal of fire beneath your ass for you to kind of to move, but that fire can also burn you, which is what sucks, right?
Yeah.
Which is why luck plays a lot of factor. Like in people, like if you're mining cobalt in Congo right now, you cannot make concept art. Fuck, are you gonna make concept art? So you have to always take that into account. But yeah, you have some control, so use that.
Yeah, and I really like what you said last time. You say something like luck may open the door, but effort is what is keeping it open. I really love that
luck
sentence.
Opens the door.
Yeah.
Luck opens the door, and hard work keeps it open.
Yeah, and for everyone complaining about luck, if you feel unlucky, you need to force it. It sounds easy, but it's really through sheer volume of application, work. You cannot magically post your work and expect that magically the studio of your dream stumble upon your work at the right moment and magically contact you out of the blue. You have to go out there. You have to contact them. You will have more chances this way.
It's statistics. If you post 10 work, maybe you're gonna get lucky 2 times. But if you post 100, you're gonna get lucky maybe 20 times now.
Yeah. That's what we are doing with the mentees right now. I want them to apply as much as they can for the whole month, and I want to draw some statistics out of that. And right now, of course, their work is very relevant, and they started applying first to the studios that they are targeting the most. So the success rate in terms of reply, if not job opportunity, is very decent.
Oh, nice.
But I'm pretty sure you can get at least 1 or 2% success rate if your work is good enough. And this might not look like much. It's just 100 email.
Yeah.
You can personalize that. You can have a template. You can send in those 100 email in maybe 10 hours. It's doable. And you just need 1 year to change your fucking life and start your career.
Yeah.
So
I can do that in 5 hours.
Yeah, seen this way, it's not that hard. And just a quick tangent on the letters and the email. Every artist like to complicate that. A good email is just one where the person clicks on your portfolio.
Yeah.
Start with I'm applying spontaneously to your studio. I like your work. For insert a personalized reason that is genuine. Here is my work.
Yeah, and please don't include Google Drive links that needs you to approve.
No Google Drive. Make it easy to access your work. Just send one link. There's no choice, no website, no loading. Just an ArtStation post with all your work in it. They just have to scroll. This way you control the way in which they see your work and in which order. They don't have to
use
guess.
that category stuff. It's fussy.
They don't have to guess. You curate the stuff. You don't send your ArtStation profile with 17 years of worth of work, but either one project with everything in it or one album with just the relevant stuff. You don't give them choice. You control the interaction. It's easy for them.
Yeah.
For the love of God, do not send the Wix website, please. Stop with Wix. It takes forever to load. It's never a good design.
Dude, we were using that. I was like, fuck. Nothing goes through, man. Holy shit.
It's so slow, dude.
Yeah.
So make it easy, and they just have to click on your work. They know you want a job. They know it.
Yeah, don't make loading your website like opening ZBrush.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
So it's just about volume, and it's doable. And again, to get back on that collective thing, you can have a lot of agency. If you hope, you remove the agency from the equation. You remove what's in your control. You're relying on external forces, which you do not control. And maybe the pendulum is swing back. Maybe the industry is going to unionize. Maybe the world is going to go in the direction you are aiming for. Maybe not.
Yeah.
There's no control over that. So in the meantime, what can you do against AI?
Yeah.
Make work that is sensitive, human, story heavy, emotion driven, solving function, all the stuff that AI cannot do. You have layoffs. There are still jobs available. You just need, again, to make work that is sensitive, solving problems for studios, relevant, and not chasing trends. All of that is 100% in the control of people.
I think when AI can do all the things you mentioned, I think we have bigger things to worry about.
Yeah.
We might be, you might have to get an AR-15 and shoot some robots by the time.
Yeah, if AI is able to tell a story like Stephen King or Tolkien, or able to make you cry seeing a picture, we're going to be in the Matrix.
Yeah, if that happens, I'm gonna sell this house, get a land somewhere near the mountain, and just farm, dude.
Yeah, that's it. It's like get an army, hide, cut yourself from the internet, and life is going to change. And the fact of the question of being an artist or not is not even going to be relevant at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, I still think we have a lot of time before it happens, because computing human emotions, good luck with that. It's
I don't know.
It's not logical. It's not binary. And a few weeks ago, I was talking to a guy who is working heavily, like for over 15 years, with AI, before even Midjourney and all of that. And he was saying that technically on paper, AI like ChatGPT or Midjourney could do what is valuable for concept art already. It's just that you would need an extremely talented set of artists to find enough work that is relevant and feed it to AI, and a massive amount of discussion with AI to teach it why it's relevant. And before it happens, we should be safe, because it's really garbage in, garbage out. And right now it's sampling all the fucking world. And most of the stuff is not professional. So we are kind of safe on that point, at least for now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if not, it's been great, guys.
Yeah, it's been great. Oh my god, there is such a record discussion at the end.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay, but no, Matrix and such.
I'm a pessimist when it comes to things going wrong, but I'm an optimist when it comes to me kind of finding ways around it.
What people can do around it, yeah.
Yeah, because I think my whole life I've always anticipated shit to go wrong. So when it gets wrong, I was like, yeah, I expected it, so I don't feel bad now.
Yeah, if you anticipate something, you can strategize around it, so you can prevent it or repair it when it happens.
Apparently, that's called stoicism. So I've been doing that since before it was cool. Take that, you fucking internet stoics.
All right, I think that's a good way to conclude.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to link your social down below. Check out Leo's Facebook for the memes, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. That's how I discovered you. I was like, who the fuck is that guy sharing memes? It was even before you went at One Pixel Brush.
Yeah. Like I can't help, man.
Yeah, that's so cool. And that's also part of you being genuine and being that funny guy on the internet. We know you are funny just seeing your memes. That's part of your branding in some way.
Yeah, I cannot help it. I just, it makes me laugh, so.
Yeah. That's fine. Instead of sharing bad news, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, let's get some funny ha-has over here.
Yeah, I think it's important in the industry. We need to laugh a bit. Speaking of that,
laugh at ourselves.
Yeah, speaking of that, is there anyone else you would recommend for a future podcast?
Dude, you should talk to Stefano. You still talk. Oh, and Yogi. You should talk to Yogi Sulastama.
Interesting.
It's gonna be fascinating.
Yeah,
I can introduce you to
him.
Oh
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating. I guarantee you.
To be great.
That motherfucker. He's in Singapore now, I think. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah. I will introduce you to him.
Yeah, and I want to talk to Piotr too. Once he is recovering a bit from his tutorial.
You should. Yeah, he just posted 105 messages into our group. I don't know about what. So.
Oh my god.
What the fuck?
All right. Let's cut it short in that case. Thank you so much, Leo.
All right, man. Thank you for having me. It's been great. It's always great
Always
talking.
A pleasure, dude.